I hate it when I don't hit record. So we got another one up here. A couple trials and tribulations I'll show you. And I'll show you what those lumber bunks are good for, what I did with those 5x5s, and what I carry in my truck is kind of like a kit. So the log I just threw up here, it's 22, there's about 22 on this end, pretty round. It's again, it's less than 8 feet, 7'1". This end is 21 3/4 by 20. There is a little hump on the bottom of this, so it's actually, even though that end's smaller, that end's a teeny bit high. But I'm not going to worry about that for cutting these trash small logs. Let me show you what happened here. So I have log grapples to put logs on the mill, so keeping the forks away from the mill. They're 32-inch. Those are the Timber Tough ones. They work great. They really grab wonderful. They hook on the front of the bucket. But since I'm by myself, I decided to just throw it up there with forks and be careful. I had to take the door off the Bobcat sitting over there, but I have to take the door off there so I can climb out, kick it off with my foot while it's up in the air. And I have one of this outside log stop was pretty low and it rolled right off. So this is what those lumber bunks are good for. So I was able to just scoot around here with the Bobcat, pick that lumber bunk up, stick it over there. Those are the 5x5s that I just cut. You know, there'll be a staging area for beam, just to put beams on top of, so that the beams aren't laying on top of stuff like that. Let me show you what I ended up with over here, what I have for a kit that I bring with me. This log is a little bit dirty, but it's not that bad. So we got 2 freshly sharpened blades in here. Obviously, I've got some windshield wiper fluid. The thing about windshield wiper, let me set you guys back a little bit because I want you to be able to see my face. Not that you care. So the thing about this 8-foot level lives in my truck all the time. The thing about windshield wiper fluid is I'm paying the same for this right now as I am diesel. I'm paying $4 a gallon for diesel. Diesel keeps these blades, these have been sharpened twice. They're like brand new. I'll give you a close-up on them. These have been run through a lot of pine, and they're like brand new. There's not a speck of anything on them. Diesel keeps them really, really super clean. Now, I know that Norwood says don't run diesel in their mills, and that's because of their components in the watering system here. So what it does is the diesel makes this tube swell up, and you have an auto on-off squisher here. So when you pull, this throttle, there's a plunger in here that cuts this off. When you pull it, it allows it to flow. You can see I don't know if you can see the diesel dripping out now, or actually it looks like I'm still got a little bit of windshield wiper fluid in there. What it does is it makes the tube swell, and I had to put a little zip tie on it here and a zip tie on it down the bottom where it sticks through. I have no leaking on this part at all, but Norwood says don't run diesel in it, but the diesel on this pine, especially this new pine, if you see some of the pine logs sitting over there, you can see all the sap on them. You can probably see, these were just cut down. You can see all the sap on the base of that one. The diesel keeps these blades perfectly clean. So I want to run the diesel in. The windshield wiper fluid is just as expensive. Obviously I've got some oil in here for the engine. I check that every time I come out. I've got a can of brake clean. Grab the super cheap ones, and I use these. Show you what I do with these. At the end of the day, I use these to clean out these guides. It only takes that and it's perfectly clean. So that's what I use this for. I try to use it sparingly, obviously, but you can see how good that guide is now. Nice and clean, and it gets pretty packed up with shit. So what else do I have in here? So I've got a little bit of brake clean. I've got my little squeezy bottle, and this is meant for, it's got a little bit of transmission fluid in, or oil, whatever I have lying around at the time. This is used to lubricate the cable up and down system here, and also my wipers. There are felt wipers in here, and when I finish I just soak them down. That soaks into the felt on both sides, so it wipes the track as it goes down. You can see it sticking out through the bottom down there. So I keep one of these in there. I do every now and then spray a little bit. I can see on, like if you can see on my guides where it's rubbing the most, you know, I'll just put a little bit on there just for some lubrication, usually when I put it away at night. So I keep the squeeze bottle in here. I've got a thing of grease in here, obviously a grease gun, and pretty much all I need for any bolts is keep an adjustable, smaller adjustable, very needle nose, funnel. I've got a square in here right now, but I don't really use it because I just use that plastic speed square. I've got some zip ties, I've got some gloves, a little bit of 3-in-1 oil, and a Allen wrench set that typically is set in my truck. So that's what I keep in my pack. I can do pretty much anything on the mill. What I keep out here on the mill, I've got a little, so once upon a time on a job I needed some decent bullet levels. These are magnetic Empires. They're fair, you know, they're pretty accurate. I keep one of those out here. It just sits here all the time if I have to check the blade. I've got a 3-foot level down there that's actually got inch scale on the side of it. That doesn't read good enough for me to use it for door headers or anything like that anymore. So I use that. Sometimes I want to scribe the cant size on the log if the wife's cutting or something like that for a guide. But now she's got plastic guides made up in all different sizes that she can stick on there and just trace them. You can see the new scale on here. I got it on finally. It flattened out enough in the sun, so it's got inch. It's got 4/4, 5/4, 6/4, 7/4, and 8/4 on that scale. And the little black lines are allowance for the kerf. So you either need to start at the top of one of those and go to the bottom to take out the 1/8. I've measured it out, and that little black line is an 1/8. So the Norwood scales didn't have 5/4 on them, which I've got a huge 5/4 order. All these long logs sitting here and up in the pile on top of the hill back there. There's 15 of them in total, all around 16 footers that the customer wants all in 5/4 in return to them. So I needed a 5/4 scale to be able to rip through those fast, so now I have one. And they're color coded. It's a pretty cool product. If you hit me up in the comments about where I got that, I'll link to it. It's a company out of Canada. You know, tracking all came through in French. It wasn't very much money, you know, but it's way better than the scale that was on there. I do have a digital readout I got for the wife. You can see I mounted it on here, and that reads down to 128 if I want it to, but right now I have it set at 30 seconds. So she doesn't subtract fractions as well as I do off the top of her head from being a contractor. You know, I do it really fast. She doesn't. So that gives her a way of, she can use the incremental setting on that. If she wants to drop 1 1/8 or whatever, she can use that really fast. I'd prefer that she learns to do it with this, but you know, if you have to cut something super accurate or something way off size, You know, you have the digital readout capability. And that scale, I was able to mount it right to the existing thing without even drilling a hole. So I might have drilled that one hole for that screw down there. I'm not sure. And I just had that screw in stock, stainless steel. And I might have done that one up top too. I'm not sure. But the readout is just held on there with a little clamp, and it works great. It's really super accurate. What else do I keep out here? Obviously a PV, and I've got a short one in the back of my truck. I got that little orange speed square. I bought about 15 of them for deck projects to keep spacing in between deck boards, and now I just keep that one out here to make sure when we roll at 90 degrees that it's actually square. Even though the log stops are set square, sometimes on a round log, or if you've only got a little bit cut off that side, it's hard to gauge whether it's flat up against them or not. And with the little orange speed square, it's just really fast. You throw it on the log bunk and check it, and Bob's your uncle. So, you know, I've got, when I filled the Bobcat this morning, what I do is I keep a little bit of diesel in the bottom of each one so I don't spill it all over the place, and that'll end up going in there. I do that every time. So that's about it. I do have a sling in there if I need it. I have slings in the truck too, but I just keep one in the back if I had to sling something really quick. But let's see, we're 11 minutes in here. Obviously the 8-footer, I got a 4-footer in my truck all the time. I'll show you what the back of my truck looks like from working on projects and everything. So the back of my truck is, you know, everything in the world is in here, from concrete anchors to Simpson ledger locks to timber locks to screws to batteries to you name it, to PL 400, saw blades. I mean, everything, my tool belt, everything's in here for day-to-day work that I do. But we're going to do the same thing with this one that we did with the other one. I've got all my pieces on that pallet over there to be edged off into stickers. I'll do that later, maybe when there's more people here. I'm going to blast this one down, see what kind of max can I can get out of it. Hopefully cut some more 5x5s, keep all those dimensions at 5x5. Yeah, see how this blade runs, and see if I have to swap it out. But we'll get her fired up, and maybe a little bit different view this time. I'll try something over here. We'll get it fired up and we'll just start ripping through it. And again, this will probably get long. I've got my log stops up at, right now they're at 13 inches, and that one's at 10, so I know when I do my top cuts I can't come below that. It's pretty clean on top right now. So let's rip it apart and see what we end up with. There is some pretty crusty dirt in the sap on this. I don't have my bark spud with me. It's in the house. I'm not going to go in and grab it. We'll see what happens. I don't know if that's like sandblasting material there. What do I have that I could scrape that off? Oh, I know what I got. I'll do it when I turn it. I've got some stuff in the truck I can probably scrape that off with. Cold-blooded bitch. In my work, I wear these Husqvarna gloves. They're not cheap, but they're the best I've seen for staying together. This is a pretty new pair. I've got an old pair in the truck. I stuck a splinter through my finger the other day and went out and grabbed a new pair. These are about 40 bucks, but they stay together really, really well. And I did save my hands on a circular saw blade the other day. Try to go deeper than that and limit my block blades, but that was just a little bit of a mess up there. So now after this, I'm going to take them off in 1-inch thick cuts on these jacket cuts so that I can cut them into stickers if I can. So I'll drop it down 1 inch from this, get it till it's fairly flat on the top. Kind of tells me that it wasn't the blade last time, it was that funky grain in that log. The blade came back on perfect both times there. little bit closer to the middle. Drop this down and just grab something to scrape that with. Try to get some of this off the top here. You like sandpaper pepper right now. Good and crusted in the bark. I mean in the sand. Now we'll throw it on its side, square it up, see if we end up in a 14 by 14. It should be pretty close. Use this large log does assist here. I don't think it works well from on the flat sides. You see Norwood's video, they make it look so easy. Yep, just fell down. One thing you don't want to do, if you can avoid it, is overturn the log. Especially if it's a big one. Now these are pretty small, but if you overturn the log, you're gonna be in a world of hurt trying to get it back. Right now it's perfectly square. Check it again in a second. The other thing you can do is if it's off of one way or the other, if it's tilted a little bit too much to me in the top, you can bring the dogs up pretty high and move it that way too. I'm showing perfectly square right now. So we'll go with it. My goal on this side is just to clean it up, and then when I flip it, I'll try to get it to 14. Take one more inch out of the side. Well, you just got to see what happens when it throws or breaks a blade. Not sure whether it threw it or broke it, but one of the two. To wait till these idlers stop spinning, or that idler stops spinning. When this happens, you don't want to go ripping these things off and have one of those wheels catch the blade and throw it at you. I'm going to come all the way down here, get you guys this view, and see what happened. Let's see what happened. I don't know if it just threw it or if it broke it. Looks like it just threw it so far. Not sure why. Did just throw it. Busted it off 2 teeth. Give you a better view here. Busted 2 teeth off it. I can't, for some reason, I can't see the ones that broke off top right now. So this one's junk. When they throw them like this, they hit a lot of stuff inside. It's going pretty fast. It's not a pretty violent action. Yep, there's the broken teeth right here. So hopefully you can see that. One right here, one right here. So I will end up resharpening this. Not sure why it happened, but we're going to check the guides and we'll make sure the tracking's right this time. Still, it's not dull. Let's see how long this video is getting. 44 minutes, probably enough time for me to change play. First thing you do is take tension off. Some nice marks in here. Didn't break it though. Okay, so half 1, half 2, 3, half 4, half 5, and a little more. going to keep you guys on until I make this cut because I want to show you something. This blade is sharp and set, and it is missing 3 teeth in a row. So hopefully this 1, 2, 3 above my finger there. You can see that. 1, 2, 3. 3 teeth in a row missing on this blade. I'm going to use this one. I want you to see how it cuts. So I'm going to keep you on until I get it running here. I never do this right. I know that it's a simple thing, and I always have trouble doing that. That's okay. That's okay. All right, I think put some tension on it. Half 1, half 2, 3, half 4, half 5, 3/4, and a third. So it's riding out a teeny bit. I'm just gonna adjust it back in. Come in a teeny bit on this side. Clockwise to move it in. See if I get this one to ride in just a little more. That's pretty perfect right now. This one's still out of hair. I'm going to try and bring this one in just a little bit. It's pretty perfect right now. So I'll put it back together, make this other cut, and I'll show you the cut with the missing teeth. Overall, it looks like the guide survived. Right, let's try it. Harry Stamper says this is what happens when you mill. You got to make sure when you put these on that it engages the safety switches. Have that happen a few times. Sometimes sawdust will get built up behind this bottom one here. It won't let it go all the way in. That one gets kicked in by this one. Seems antithetical, but that's the way it is. And the top one gets kicked in by the one on the right, on the operator side. So when you push it in, you want to make sure you hear it click or the engine won't start. Let's run this last cut. If I can remember what I was cutting, and I'll show you the cut with the 3 missing teeth, and then this video will be over. So 53 minutes. Shot a lot of video here. All right, we'll get it back there when we're over. Before I cut it in half, let me show you that finish off that resharp, that missing 3 teeth. Get my hand in here at the scale. And even though it's missing 3 teeth, cut really, really well. I can feel a dip right here around this knot. Yeah, right here I can feel a little imperfection here. you can look down the side, you see it. The side looks like a pretty crisp line. It's not much of a dip. So I'm going to cut it in half, flip it, cut it in half into 5x5s, and then I'm going to blow out my guides and make sure that everything's set perfect before I go any further. Well, that was fun. Four more 5x5. So let me just get these off. I'll show you the finishing point. Show you the finish and we'll be done. Now, did a really good job, even with missing 3 teeth. Nice and smooth, didn't matter grain direction, they're all, we kicked these together. You can see dimensionally, it's a weird shadow line in the middle because they're not sitting exactly perfectly square. But they're all, even with flipping them, not trying to line them up dimensionally, they're really good. You can see a little bit of wave in the edge, obviously, down there. These two went together perfect. So that was a really good cut. Or a really straight cut. You can see those two there, kind of like they're jointed. But these other ones, you can imagine whatever the imperfection is in those is doubled when you put them together like that. So, they cut pretty flat. So those are going to be more of those lying around. We'll have them all over the place, and we'll see what the wife and boy want to do when they come back. If they want to edge some stuff, we got a ton of stuff that we can edge. Or I'll be done and go watch some golf. I needed to get these done so that when I start filling his 5/4 order, I got a place just to put it. And we're going to get banding to be able to band it together. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. If you got any questions, make sure you hit me up. Like I said, I answer them all back, and appreciate the watch. Have a great day.